is the theme to the show. The show is all about you. Not you, but you and your story. Because everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Brought to you by JeffSeltzer.com.
Hello and welcome to Everybody Has a Story with Jeff Seltzer. I am your host, Jeff Seltzer, and this is episode 56 of my own personal midlife crisis. Thank you all for joining and following me on this journey. As always, I do say, if you just found this show, thank you so much for finding it, and thank you for checking it out. We do have 55 episodes that came before this. I would never tell anybody to go listen or watch all 55 episodes. Go through the list, find a topic you like, find something that's interesting, check it out. If you like it, great, find another one. If not, go listen to another podcast. It's all good. You know, we're all friends here. It is what it is. I do have two guests today that I'm really excited to talk to and talk about, as they are entrepreneurs and also are in the, let's say, the action figure toy business. But before that, I did want to talk about something personally that happened to me in the last couple of weeks that's also, let's say, action figure related. So long story short, about a year and a half ago or so, Target, the retailer Target, had an exclusive 3-pack of Hulk Hogan. So it was a 3-pack. I think it was the 40th anniversary or something like that. It was a really cool looking figure pack. It had 3 Hulk Hogans. It had like 1980s Hulk Hogan, you know, the Say Your Prayers, Eat Your Vitamins Hulk Hogan, the NWO Hulk Hogan from the 1990s, and then I guess like Old Man Hogan from like the early 2000s. Hulk Hogan, who again, unfortunately passed away recently, he had a merchandise shop in Orlando, Florida, and they sold lots of autographed items. So about a year and a half ago, after the figure came out, I managed to purchase a 3-pack of Hogan signed by Hogan 3 times. So over each of the figures, it had a different autograph, basically matching the actual figure in the era. Like the 80s Hogan said Hulkamania, the next one NWO, etc. I paid like $350 for it. So fast forward till about, let's say, a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and I was listening to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, and Smart Mark Sterling. And Matt Cardona was talking about how he wanted to buy this 3-pack signed from one of the listeners of the podcast. He said he made the guy an offer of like a decent amount of money, significantly more than I paid for mine. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, there's a lot of value to this figure. It's sitting in my attic and it's just collecting dust. It's probably worth selling at this point. So Matt said that he made the person an offer. The person said no. So I immediately sent Matt Cardona, professional wrestler, a direct message. And I was like, hey, you know, I have this, if you're interested in it, here's the number I'm looking to get based on what you said on the podcast. Wasn't quite what he was looking for because he wanted it in 3 different colors as opposed to all in the same color. But then I immediately, I said, thank you very much. Thank you anyway. Posted in that Facebook group that his podcast has. And within, let's say, an hour, I had it sold. And it was a great deal. I think I explained it okay. But I think Matt himself could probably do a much better job explaining it. So if you can listen for about a minute and a half. This. Here is what the actual, I guess, conversation between Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, and Mark Sterling sounded like as they were talking about this whole situation.
Who sons of bitches, guys?
We're just doing this to mess with Broski, right?
Yeah.
Is this? Let's just say who it is.
This is C-Rat. I was able to pick up this signed Hogan 3-pack from fellow Major Mark Jeff Seltzer.
Seltzer tried selling it to me and I passed.
Oh, wow. You're a coward, Broski.
It's always a pleasure doing business with a fellow Major Mark. Easy negotiation, constant shipping updates, and great delivered product. This earned the rare and coveted, okay, yeah, that's actually pretty cool comment from my wife. A real win considering I walked into the apartment to her saying there was a delivery for you. It's not from K&S Bessels or those wrestlers we saw at UBS, which is her polite way of saying, what did you order now? Thankfully, she is pretty understanding about my passion for collecting. Thanks again to Jeff and the easy transaction. So this, guys, we haven't said it, beating around the bush. This is the Elite Hulk Hogan collection, all 3 of them signed in paint pen. Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, and Hulk Hogan.
We talked about this last week, how I made a pretty ridiculous offer to Michael LaPuma for his, and then Jeff slid to my DMs trying to sell me that one. And listen, I get why Jeff did that, and I get why he came to me at the price that he did based on what I said I offered Michael. However, Michael had his 3 different colors.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
And he had it just looked way better. Not that this didn't look nice. It looks great. But then when you see Michael's in the 3 different colors, it's like, ooh, that's the one.
I don't want to break anyone's heart, but those stickered Hogans that everyone's buying, this blow.
They suck.
They're not. It's the tiny.
Anyway, so I got a kick out of that and the fact that the person that I sold it to then posted it as his purchase of the week. I don't know if it was a rib on Matt Cardona or whatever it was, decided to talk about it. And then, obviously the shout outs for the sale and, the whole story that they probably explained better than I did. So I did really appreciate that. I thought it was really funny. I guess they now have cameos in this podcast here, without even realizing it. So life goes on. With that said, I did want to give the plugs for the week before introducing my guests. So as always, the show is on Instagram at Everybody Has a Story Pod. The show's TikTok is found at Everybody Has a Story Pod. You can find the show video on YouTube at Everybody Has a Story Pod. My personal Instagram is at Seltzer77. You can email the show directly at everybodyhasastorypod@gmail.com. For all things Jeff Seltzer, you can always check me out over at jeffseltzer.com. We are on all podcast platforms. As mentioned, we're on video in Spotify and YouTube. We are on audio both on Spotify and YouTube and in every other platform. So that'd be like Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Pandora. Pretty much anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find this. Lastly, I want to remind everybody that we do still have t-shirts for the show, $20. Front logo, back logo, really cool. We have, I think, a medium and a couple of larges left. Shoot me a direct message if you're interested. They're cool. Alice and my daughter made them. They look really, really good. And they put the show, which is a lot of fun as well. So keep that in mind. With that said, I did want to introduce my guests for this week. I'd like to add Joe and Jimmy. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
How's it going, Jeff? Thanks for having us.
Good evening, man. What's going on?
I'm very good. Thank you, guys. So first of all, I'm going to give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves. But for everybody at home listening and watching or in your car or wherever you're consuming this, Joe and Jimmy, first of all, are brothers. Fact, right? Correct?
Fact.
Correct.
Yeah, fact.
Cute brothers.
Good brothers. Additionally, they do own a business called J&J Figures, which we're going to get into quite a bit during the show. But first, I did want to give you guys a chance to kind of talk about who is Joe and Jimmy. Joe, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So thank you, Jeff, for that great introduction. I am Joe, also known as Old J, one half of J&J Figures. Now a company that Jimmy and I have started now for 6 years ago now at this point. Lifelong wrestling figure fans from the first Hasbros I bought from the local drugstore all the way up to, the I was just going to say the Hasbros I bought last week mint on card. So I am all over the place when it comes to wrestling figures. It's been a lifelong passion, and I'm so fortunate enough that I have a younger brother that has similar tastes. So Jimmy, welcome.
So Jimmy, so Joe, thanks for your intro. Jimmy, do you want to give a little rundown on who is young Jay?
Absolutely. So I am the young one or the youngest one, or you will hear it on every single Whatnot Hype video that I do, that I try to do a different variation of young somewhere in there. But I'm really Jimmy, the brother of Joe, the other half of J&J Figures. Don't know much. I don't know any life without Joe, I should say. But I am very grateful for that because it introduced me to the lovely world of professional wrestling and, of course, action figures as well. We've been collecting since I've been alive. So Joe's got a few years head start on me, but coming and going, different collections, moving and shaking, a whole bunch of different things at different times. But as Joe says, still keeping up with the current products, obviously. And then outside of the wrestling world, huge into sports, very big into basically the big four sports right now. Married, 3 cat kids, no actual kids, but 3 cat kids, I should say.
Nice.
And yeah, man, just very happy to be here. We thank you for having us on and looking forward to telling our story.
Very nice. So guys, first of all, thank you so much. Secondly, I would say Young Jay, you're probably my top 3 favorite youngs. We got Young MC, we got Young Sandwich, aka Andy Samberg, and now we have Young Jay as well. So filling out the trifecta there. We've got the youngins, right?
You are putting me in the same category as Young Sandwich. I feel so privileged right now. Like, this is amazing. I think I can stop right here, right now, because I've accomplished my goal.
He is the king. I mean, Lonely Island, none's better than them, right?
Absolutely, man. Do so. I know a little side tangent here, but the new Naked Gun is streaming now on Paramount. So I'm itching to watch it because I didn't catch it in theaters. So I want to see how the Lonely Island Boys did with the take on Naked Gun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I think it was either opening night or like opening weekend or whatever else like that. I think Akiva from the Long Island directed it. I don't remember if Yorma or Andy made appearances or whatever, but they probably had some behind the scenes stuff because they do everything together. But there were a lot of laugh out loud like moments during the movie. Definitely worth checking out, I would say.
Awesome, man.
Very cool. So, guys, thank you for your intros. Really appreciate it. So let's go back in time. So I know, Joe, obviously you existed first, right? As you're the older brother here. And Jimmy, obviously second. So you're both long-term wrestling fans. So before getting into, collectibles and action figures and different things that we collect, what is your first memory of wrestling, or how did you first get into it? Or if you kind of like talk a little bit through that.
So believe it or not, you cannot untwine wrestling figures and professional wrestling for me.
Okay.
So when I was probably in kindergarten, so roughly when Jimmy was born, I was at my older brother's friend's house.
And so there's an even older J, or is he a different initial?
Well, it's not a J, it's an A. So he's not part of J&J. He's on
so it's not J&J and A or anything like that?
Yes. No. No. He's a supporter, let's just say that. But so he was at his friend's house, and I would tag along, I guess, because I guess my mom, just decided to drop me off because it was her friend's child. So they pretty much put me in the bedroom, and I discovered, the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan Hasbro's that Anthony's friend Kenny had, and it pretty much, I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like, what are these things? Blah blah blah. What is this? So fast forward, I guess, months or days or whatever, and turns out one of our uncles was also a big wrestling fan, and he had a huge collection of just like old pay-per-views, like taped on blank VHSs. I guess he, ordered their pay-per-view and recorded them.
Nice.
And he just gave us this huge bag of just all these old WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. And I see Jimmy laughing because he probably doesn't even remember this. And I just literally, like, that's all I watched for like years. And like, I kind of like learned the history of the WWF. And then, to be honest, like, I really, really got hooked on Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and that was it. Like, from there,
nice.
Like Undertaker as well. Like that, I guess, New Gen was really my, my real, like, getting to understand wrestling, that era. And the figures just came along with the ride. So like, if it wasn't for wrestling action figures, I may have not liked wrestling. So it's kind of hard to separate them.
Nice. So real quick, my own personal story on that too. So I'm a few years older than you guys. The first match that I remember seeing, I think, on TV was Macho Man Randy Savage beating Tito Santana for the IC belt. I want to say it was like February of 86-ish, give or take. Okay. I have a similar story to you, though, Joe, in terms of getting like a stack of tapes. It was probably around 88, 89, or 90 or something like that. And I went to my first video rental store, and like I saw a wrestling section, and I immediately dropped to my knees and started crying, I think, because I was just so excited, because it was like every wrestling pay-per-view ever, every wrestling special ever, NWA, WCW, WF, everything there. And like, I was just blown away. Because remember, this is before streaming. This is before any kind of online stuff, whatever. So for me, I was just blown away. I was like, wow, like, I don't want to leave here. Like, I remember I was there with a friend and his family, I think. I think I picked up like 15 tapes. And I'm like, I'd like to borrow all of these. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't have an account. You can't just borrow 15 tapes. So I think that night, I think I went home. I told my parents I wanted to rent something, and they either told me to pound salt, or I'm not sure what happened or whatever. But I think eventually I ended up getting some of those tapes, I guess. But like, for me, it was just mesmerizing. I was like, I didn't realize this was a thing until all of a sudden it was all right there, which was crazy.
You know what's also crazy, and it's fascinating about, like, if you like go back and see how much those tapes, if you would have purchased them outright.
Oh, it was like $100 a tape back then, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, it's insane. Like, because we grew up, more of the dying days of VHS into DVD and then Blu-ray.
Yeah,
and they weren't $50-$60 like these VHSs were, and I was like mind blowing. I'm like, man, I'm so lucky that I had a cool ass uncle who was just taping all these VHS WrestleManias and SummerSlams.
Yeah, it was the whole business model. I think back then, like, they didn't even have like the knowledge of like, hey, they want to sell. Like, I think it was all like a video rental model. Because, like, to your point, I mean, $100 nowadays is a lot. $100 in like 1987 was ridiculous. Like, nobody was buying that. You either buy like WrestleMania 2 or buy a Nintendo Entertainment System. Like, it didn't make any sense, right?
0 sense. But it's fascinating how times have changed.
Absolutely cool. So, Jimmy, obviously, a few years younger. What are your first memories of how you got in? Was it similar? Did Joe kind of drag you along? Like, how did that work for you?
Wouldn't say he dragged me along. It was really like it just feels natural when I think about it now. I remember like one of my I have like two really young memories. One, I don't know how I have a memory. I think maybe I manifested it with my family talking about it all the time. But in 1994, the New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
I have a memory somehow of my dad banging pots and pans outside, but I don't think I actually saw that. I was only like a year and a half. So I don't think I could retain that memory. That is just something that probably is manifested over time. And then the other half is my mom ended up working a lot of nights. Our mom works a lot of nights when I was younger. So it would be our dad watching us. And every Monday, obviously being the younger one, I'd have to be in bed a little early, but I would always ask to stay up a little bit later to watch Monday Night Raw with you guys. Lo and behold, every Monday we would just be sitting there on the couch watching whether it's Austin McMahon, The Rock coming into light, DX, literally anything to do with the Attitude Era just sucked me in. And then it's so funny that you guys both mentioned tapes. Joe, I don't know if you know this, but as I was starting to really watch the Attitude Era, I would actually go back and watch some of your like Coliseum collections that you amassed, or like the one that still stands to me, and I'm so happy the WWE Net Peacock has it, or whatever you want to call it now. It's The Undertaker. He buries them alive.
So
like
good,
that was
right?
it's so good. Like I think I wore the tape out because I watched it so much, and it's very funny because I was scared of Paul Bear when I was younger.
Right.
So I think I kept putting that tape on to like psych myself up to be like, he can't hurt you. He's just a character.
Right.
But no, it was really I'm very lucky to have Joe to kind of like usher the way into the wrestling world for me. And very similar to Joe, you can't really talk wrestling without the figures that kind of go with it. But I think if anything, I had a much easier time getting into it because it was a little bit more available for me for my time frame.
Yeah, to your point, Jimmy. So you said you were born like 93-ish, 94-ish, somewhere around there?
92.
92. So by the time you're probably old enough to think about toys, you're talking what, like probably 96, 97. And by that point, when Jax started coming out with the action figures, you go to KB Toy Store or Toys R Us, and they were there, right?
Exactly. And my first ever figure was Bone Crunching Action Series 3, Ahmed Johnson, who
Nice.
I think, old Jay, I don't know if I've told you this. I think I got to find that MOMC somewhere. That way we can just have it in the warehouse so I can keep staring at it. I still have my OG from the childhood in my house right now. I do want to get that mint on card, though, and play that somewhere.
You could definitely get that signed because Ahmed makes towns.
He does.
That would be awesome.
Get that signed.
Nice. So it's funny because like right around that era that you're talking about, like, so I obviously I'm a few years older than you guys. So in the late 90s, I was going to college. I went to Rutgers, and I was working in Menlo Park Mall. I worked in a CVS and I worked in a Sam Goody. And I remember lunch break every single time I worked, I go to the KB Toy Store to see what action figures just came out. So like I remember like I was making $5 an hour. I would probably spend half my paycheck on the new action figures, whatever came in, right? Just to kind of do it. And like I was way ahead of my time. Like at that point, like I mean, at that point, I'm 19 years old. Like I wasn't buying them to play with. Like I legitimately had my bedroom, which is full of mint on card action figures. People probably thought I was like insane because in 1997, for like a 19-year-old to just have like just boxes and boxes of unopened Yokozuna and Vader and Goldust and Steve Austin figures, I must look like I was, ridiculous. But this is what I liked. I looked at it and I was like, I don't want to play with them. I didn't think at that time to get them signed because in the late 90s, like that wasn't really a thing. Like conventions weren't really open. You couldn't really get to the wrestlers. But I was like, I always loved the packaging of the action figures. Like a lot of those singles look really cool. It had a Yokozuna, which obviously based on his size, like it was bulky, but it looked really cool. Toys R Us had a lot of the really cool, like exclusive multi-packs, which I loved a lot, which was a lot of fun. They had like the Buried Alive, which had, I think it was like Paul Bearer, the Executioner, the Undertaker, Mankind, something like that. Like they had the ones that had like all the title belts where they had, was like The Rock with the IC belt. I think whoever was the champions at the time, they came with that with the belt. So that was really cool. So definitely understanding the time. And that was kind of like my growing up. I didn't really have action figures. So I think what happened was once I started getting my own money, I just went like buck wild, just buying whatever I could find all the time. Like the KB Toy Store obviously closed down eventually. But like for me, like I have so many memories of walking down that aisle like every single time. And, as an 18, 19-year-old guy by himself, I'm sure it was an interesting look. But it was a mall. Usually it's like, whatever time it was fine, right?
It's so funny that you mentioned KB Toys because we grew up pretty much walking distance from a KB Toys. So we would walk down and, see what was, if they got any new wrestling figures in or, we were into Star Wars stuff as well growing
Nice.
up. But when I turned 16, I got a seasonal job at KB.
Nice.
So that was my first job. And, I kept that job all the way through just about graduating college. I was an assistant manager.
Awesome.
At a KB Toys, and it definitely helped my collection. I could tell you that I was able to, get first dibs.
Mine too.
I loved KB Toys. I bring it up every chance I get. Jimmy's laughing because it's like every chance I get, I talk about how I worked at KB Toys. But it's what do they call that? Just the nostalgic memories. It's just they're locked in. They're never going away. Just love it.
Yeah, I worked in so many places that don't exist anymore. Like I worked in a Sam Goody, which those are long gone. In high school, I worked in a Sizzler restaurant, which also, with the exception of, I saw one in Tokyo when I was there a year and a half ago. I think there's like maybe 4 or 5 in the world because they've closed most of them at this point. I was working there when they filed bankruptcy and closed all the corporate stores. So there was that. I'm sure I worked at a couple other places that don't exist anymore too. So to your point, nostalgia is weird. It's just funny to look back. And like I have 2 daughters who are in high school. So whenever I try to explain like what I did or where I worked, it's like, okay, so I worked in a store that sold like music. And they're like, why would you do that? Like, you spend $15 a month for Apple Music and you get a billion songs. Like, why are you spending $18 for a CD? It didn't really make a difference. I'm joking because my older daughter now is a Swiftie, loves collecting records and CDs. So it's funny how that works. But like, there was a time where I tried to explain to people like what I sold, and they're like, why? Like, why is that a thing? But
Jeff, you literally worked at my dream job. Sam Goody, as much as I love wrestling action figures, I'm a huge record, CD, pretty much any physical music collector. I'm in my office right now, surrounded by probably about 300 records behind me. I have a wall of tapes. Like, this is literally my other passion that I don't really bring up too often. So yeah, between toys and music, that's pretty much, actually, it's something we both share. Jimmy likes it as well, right, Jim?
You got to assume that with the older brother, the younger brother must follow everything that they do. So it's so funny that like when the vinyl revolution came about, I feel like me and Joe were a little early with that, though. I'd like to say that because of the eldest Jay, aka our dad, would just listen to vinyl, I think, very often when we were growing up. He never really let go of it.
Yeah.
So when some of our bands started to like repress stuff or actually press stuff, we were like, hey, yeah, we should try this out. And his face, like when we brought home some vinyls, he's like, what the heck is going on? And now look at it. It's just such a booming industry. But Joe hit the nail on the head. Anything physical media, we have a little bit of a soft spot for. Like, we just love the feeling of holding something or owning something. And that's why, like, I walked into my Target Monday. I saw that they're opening at midnight for the new Taylor Swift album. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yes.
It's great to see. It's like, it's not just limited to now these local like indie stores for music. It's a Target that's going to be open at midnight for the new Taylor Swift. I think that's fantastic.
Totally. So it's funny. I made the joke to my wife, I think it was the other day, that like I was so ahead of the curve with Amazon. So in the early 2000s, like every Tuesday I had new DVDs and video games and CDs that were get shipped to the house. Nobody was shopping on Amazon back in like 2003. But I was buying like all of my physical media at the time. Fast forward to 2025, obviously everything's digital now. So I don't buy that kind of stuff. But like, we're still getting, Amazon boxes between my daughters, my wife, and myself occasionally as well. So it's just funny how like back then, like I was like 99% of the purchases, and now I'm like 2% of the house purchases on Amazon. So I don't know. And get back to records also. So my older daughter, who I mentioned before, is a Swiftie. So like we go to Record Store Day in November as well as in April. We line up early morning. We get all the exclusives because she collects them. When the new stuff comes out, so I think a week or two ago, maybe actually it was last weekend as recording this now, Taylor put out a bunch of the autographed CDs, very limited. So we got on. They put up 4 different ones. We were able to get 2 before they sold out. Same thing with like the new Sabrina Carpenter record. So like for me, like I love that she enjoys it, but I also love like the autographed like limited edition deals because it just seems really cool, and it's just something that like if nothing else can only go up in value, I would think.
And I think for such an artist like Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter to do that, that's really cool. Like you wouldn't expect an artist of that, caliber or popularity to give back and do that, just as like a thank you almost, it feels like. So I really think that's cool. Even if it's not something you care to listen to, you got to respect it.
Agreed. And I think Taylor's brilliant in terms of her marketing. Like my older daughter will buy like no joke, like 7 or 8 of the same album, because I'm not sure if you guys follow how it works. Like Taylor will say, okay, the new album's coming out. October 3rd. So here's the pre-sale. And then here's the exclusive with this cover. And then with this keychain. And then this. And whatever else like that. So by the end of the day, we've now spent $200-300 or whatever on an album, right? So you're basically taking what would have been a commodity where people could have downloaded through their Apple Music for $15 for a month, and now they're spending $200-300 on like one artist. Like the level of marketing and sales of Taylor Swift, you can say whatever you want, is absolutely brilliant. That she's made a market where it didn't exist.
She is in a class of her own, and I will say this until I can't anymore. Like,
Yes.
she's doing something that I think everybody dreams of doing. So she's just a master class at it.
100%. Okay, so we've gone through all of our media interests. We've gone through the history of how we got here. So with that said, Joe, Jimmy, obviously you guys have been collecting action figures, various toys. We can say it here because we're all collectors. It's good. We collect toys. We don't play with them necessarily. Maybe we do, but we do, I'm sure, have attics and garages and bedrooms full of these things. So you guys wake up one day and say, hey, I want to start a business. Like, what does that journey look like? Or like, how does that start? Like, I don't go to this toy store and buy 17 of one and go on eBay and flip it. Like, I assume if you guys probably have like a different way, because you got to figure out like how to get to the source, how to make money, get exclusives. And I don't want to jump too far ahead. Like, start at the beginning. Like, how did this conversation start, and kind of like how did it progress?
So I think we have to go back really far. Maybe when Joe is graduating high school, I want to say. You made the conscious decision of really shrinking down the collection into really just the Hasbros and pieces here and there that you really wanted, but you wanted to focus on the Hasbros. They were going up in price. Joe was a collector of the classic superstars, the ECW original San Francisco toy maker line, like everything. And not so much, I would say, like straight ruthless aggression, or you had some BCAs and Trons, but it wasn't really your main focus. Your main focus was classic superstars. And I remember one day you were just like, listen, these Hasbros are going way up in price. I think we got to start like selling off some of the classic superstars so that way I can fund the Hasbro habit here. So ended up making an eBay account forever ago, selling off the classic superstars. When we were listing everything, I put a stupid name of J&J Co. at the end of the eBay listing as just like a joke, being like, oh, look at us, we're a business, we're selling this stuff off. Ended up moving all the classics. Joe, I think you ended up we either ended up funding a lot of fun things that we did together with it, some Hasbros in Joe's personal collection. Lo and behold, we took a little bit of a break from figs. We were still watching from afar, but we weren't collecting directly or as commonly. And I don't know what really sparked it. I think it was the additions of Mattel putting like chases in. I want to say that really like triggered us to be like, oh, let me peek down that aisle, like just to see if that's there. And I remember finding, I will never forget, it's that basic 91 or main event 91 Dean Ambrose with the Shield logo on the shirt. Joe ended up snapping a picture to me. He's like, I think this is the chase. I think we may be able to make some money off of this. Lo and behold, that's what kind of turned us into J&J Figures, on top of discovering Mattel at that point in time. Like I said, we were kind of watching from afar. So we didn't see like the early Elite series come out. We didn't see what it was to start. And then we did a whole bunch of catch up to it. And we were just like, we missed out on the best part of wrestling figure collecting by kind of taking a break. Like we saw that Mattel took the license, but we really weren't like following closely. So we find this chase. That's what really sparks us to think about doing J&J, but also at the same time, really expanded the personal collections again, to which I think Joe is still very current on his Ultimate Editions. I started like a whole bunch of Elites and retro collections. It just spurred a whole bunch of, hey, if I can find this figure and sell it and make money, that's great. But what really took J&J Figures off, in my opinion, is that we found this little knit group on like Instagram or Twitter, and it was just folks looking for figures. You'd see Baron Pegs in a Walmart or a Target or wherever you go, and we would just be like, it would be great if people didn't get gouged by eBay prices. They didn't get gouged by randomly going to a random marketplace group or Facebook group. If there was a spot for them to go where yeah, you know what? You may not be paying the same price that you are if you see it on the pegs. Meanwhile, today you're probably paying less with us than what you see on the pegs.
Sure.
But it's how can we get the figures into the right hands? The people that actually want them, that don't want to flip them, that are actually looking for this stuff. So what turned into a really big rush of finding something to be like, we could make money, ended up turning into a passion project for us where it's just, we want to get these figures into the right hands. There's people that don't have Walmarts and Targets around them that have to rely on the internet or any type of online retailer in order to get their action figures. And then you think about what 6 years pass, and that's where we are today. It really just started by us loving the chase of finding something. Joe said that we used to collect like Star Wars when we were younger, McFarlane's as well, who were like, I think the OGs of the chase, if I'm not mistaken, with the sports picks, where when Joe was working at KB, obviously we're very big into sports. We would try to find that alternate jersey or whatever. And that was just for our collection because we're like, the alternate jersey is probably nicer anyway. Lo and behold, ends up just being a passion project to get the right figures into the right hands. And that's what it still is today, as large as it's grown into for us. So like we were talking about what's to come for 2026 and what we want to do down the line. And I turned to Joe. Literally yesterday, I sent him this text message. I said, I never thought it would get like this. And here it is today, man.
Nice. So just to kind of go back a second or so. So when you initially started J&J, and obviously you were trying to get the right figures in the right hands, you were not like an official distributor, right? You were basically just buying it at Walmart or Target or wherever you saw it and just kind of flipping it, not for exorbitant prices, but trying to, it's almost like, paying it forward of sorts, right? Trying to make sure that those people who lived in areas that like where I live, I have a Walmart, a Target not too far away. Like their wrestling sections are not very good. I mean, I'm in a fairly busy area, so my guess is probably there's somebody who hangs out there, and as soon as it gets, filled up, it gets sold out or whatever. But by the time I get there, there's nothing ever there. So this is where someone like myself would have benefited from what you guys were doing years ago to say, hey, this is something I want. I can't find it here. How can I get it without spending an eBay level of cost? Joe, I assume you're aligned to that. Any additional perspective you want to add to that?
Yeah, to go off what you were just saying, yeah, we didn't start out as a distributor. It would be almost, I think, next to impossible, especially in today's age, just to start going without. We pretty much started from nothing, right? So we didn't have any sort of like magic chest that we weren't Scrooge McDuck, So we had to start with like finding the maybe hard to find ones in stores, but then as we started to get to know people. We started, buying and selling people's collections. And that really was kind of like what really started, I guess, kickstarting us. And then also the app Whatnot. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, Jeff, but that was really like the rocket on our back, I think, for the biz, because we had a real opportunity to kind of show off, our personalities, how much we love what we do. And, we really got a real chance to meet a whole bunch of collectors around the world, to be honest. And it turns out a lot of collectors live within the tri-state area.
Nice.
But it was really from that point on that, we were able to, really gain some traction. And then, before you know it, we were like, why don't we text, this distributor or this wholesaler or this company, because we really like what they're doing. And it was really cool to get a response. And then from there, it was just off to the races. Today, I wrote them down before we had this conversation. We work now with 8 different independent wrestling figure companies. And we are able to bring them all into one spot on jjfigures.com. And that's not to mentioning that we have a Mattel wholesale distributor relationship. And then we also, still buy and sell collections. We do conventions. We're really all over the map now. So it's really grown from, that one Dean Ambrose chase that Jimmy was mentioning. And it really just comes down to, though, the passion we have just for the bonding we have, I guess, when it comes to figures. And just that it doesn't hurt that, wrestling's kind of cool again. A lot of people love it, and we've always loved it. Now it's kind of like fun to say that I'm a wrestling fan. Jeff, I'm sure that like you probably felt it even more than we did because you're a little bit older, but like it was like a sin almost to admit that you were a wrestling fan because you were going to get bullied or something like that.
Oh, so, you have no idea. I graduated high school in '95. I would go to house shows at the Meadowlands whenever I could. And I think I probably had like 1 or 2 wrestling shirts at the time. And I remember wearing one to school and I thought I was like, this is incredible. And like the looks that I got
Yes.
Then fast forward to college, I used to go to ECW in Philly all the time. So
Nice.
from like 96 through like 99, I went to about half of the ECW arena shows, which were insane. What I will say is I love the ECW t-shirts. What I will say is, in hindsight, in the late 90s, to the, let's say, the standard civilian, not cool at all. I remember going to class as a sophomore, junior year of college wearing a Just Incredible t-shirt. So think about it, right? So you guys might have seen it before. Let me describe it. So if you are a Rutgers college student and you know absolutely nothing about wrestling, you see a guy walking in wearing a t-shirt that has, let's say, a topless guy who's also bald, holding a Singapore cane, and it just says "Just Incredible" across. Like, I must look like the biggest winner probably at Rutgers at the time. Obviously, the ladies loved it, so that's how it was. I'm sure, obviously. But yeah, like, it's one of those things where, like, when you're a teenager, specifically, self-awareness is not necessarily one of your greatest traits, or my greatest traits anyway. I had fun with it. I loved it. But I didn't necessarily recognize that to the average person who knows nothing about wrestling, that these shirts look ridiculous and mean absolutely nothing to them. Plus, I mean, the average WWF t-shirt back in the 90s legitimately was not cool. Like, objectively, they were not really well designed. Like, nowadays, they've done much better. I mean, even back then, I like a Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt, which an Austin 316 shirt is obviously nostalgic. But to the average non-wrestling fan, if you're wearing a shirt that just says Austin 316 on it, it's probably offensive, right? Like, if you're walking around, you walk by a church or something, I'm sure people are looking at it and saying, like, what is this fool doing? Things have changed. Things are cooler. Things are different. People are more into inclusion, diversity, and just different interests, I guess, too. So, life goes on. But to your point, yes, I was not the homecoming king wearing my Just Incredible t-shirt in high school.
I would have voted for you, though.
I appreciate that. It's very sweet of you. Thank you. Awesome. So so as you said, you eventually became a distributor for the Mattel WWE action figures. Are you guys carrying AEW figures, or just the WWE and the independent stuff you were talking about?
So when it comes to AEW, they're a little bit more, I guess, tight-knit when it comes to wholesaling. So the only time we really get to carry AEW figures on our website is usually when we purchase a collection of someone's.
Okay.
It's not something that we haven't tried before, but it seems as though right now, I don't know if they're in transition or, there's some rumors going on right now. But
sure,
for all we know, it's not something that we've been able to get a hold of, but it's something we would love to. So if someone's listening from Jazzware, hello, J&J would love to work with you.
Yeah, Jeremy Padower, if you're out there, hook him up, right? Give him a call. Okay, so what I'll say is this. Obviously, the Mattel, I think, is interesting because it's, as a smaller company to get the kind of access is cool. What I think is even cooler, though, is all the independent organizations that you do work with, right? Because the Mattel stuff, while it is cool, in theory, some that you can buy in Walmart or Target. The lion's share of, like, what I'm interested in, what you guys have, are things that, like, you can't just walk into a big box store and buy. Right. So, like, I've seen, like, recently you guys had Amanda Warner and Steph DeLander, special exclusive figures that can only get from you guys, right? Or other different types of things. So can you walk me through how you guys have connected with some of the smaller wrestling companies and kind of like how that conversation goes, like what that looked like?
Yeah. So kind of building off of what we said originally, which is just getting those right figures in the right hands, we started to see really the groundswell of these independent companies starting to take off. Really kicked it off with Zombie Sailor, which I think Joe got immediately sucked in with the retro line coming out. Really felt like that Hasbro nostalgia, and he started collecting personally at the same time as we're trying to do something with J&J, because it was a thing when Zombie came out. We never really thought about, hey, like, just contacting and starting a conversation about carrying them, because we didn't think, like, what would be the reason why you go get them from Zombie, right?
Sure.
And then you start seeing some of these other companies come out, like bigger collections. You start seeing a whole bunch of different, like, just retro independent lines, or just independent lines in general coming out, and you go, okay, all these figures rock. I'd love to see them, but they're all in different places. Like, it's so tough if you want to be a completist. And I'm going to quote somebody that frequents Whatnot streams for us, where you're just looking for that cool piece,
right?
Where your collection is that you just amassed something that you think is cool. That is like the basis of our website, which is, okay, go here, grab whatever you feel is cool within the wrestling figure world, because we'll have it all essentially.
Right.
And you can mix and match with what you want to it. You don't have to be, all right, I have to go grab this from Zombie, and then I have to grab this from Title Run Toys, and I have to grab this from Figure Collections. Like, you can just grab them all in one spot. It really started, though, the getting into the distribution game or into the wholesale game with them with the Fig Cave. Really, if we think about it, before it was the Fig Cave, the Run-In Pod with Tom Sliney got us a hookup with Figure Collections, and that was really the first independent retailer to I don't want to say give us the time of day. It was the first one we really tried on, where we just started talking with them. I think they were as excited as we were with our idea of getting the right figure into the right hands, getting multiple figures from multiple companies into one hand at the same time. And they took a chance on us. We took a chance on them at the same time. And you mentioned Mance and Steph, like that's where that comes from. Like
Right.
we would not trade that relationship for anything. Love working with Jack. Jack is amazing to work with, very down to earth, very open to ideas as well, which is something that I never thought I would say, that you would actually have a hand in, like designing a figure or seeing it come to life. Like that Mance Warner that we have that was Bloody and Ultra Bloody. Me and Joe designed the Bloody and Ultra Bloody, which was
That's
just
awesome.
amazing. It's amazing, dude. It was something that I personally thought that we would never be able to do, but it was really just like reaching out and putting ourselves out there. Same thing with like this getting this thing going, where it's just, all right, here we are. Who wants it? And now, like, we just put up a KWK pre-order today. We've got a whole bunch of things in the mix working. It's just crazy to see it all come together.
Yep.
It just amazes me, and I'm like getting speechless now because it's just nuts on how it's grown. But really, just started with one conversation from one podcast that I listen to frequently, and I reached out and I was like, "You have a connection, right?" And then the rest is history.
Yeah, I saw that. Congrats. New Too Cold Scorpio Flash Funk action figures you guys put up today, right?
Yes. We have an
Yes.
exclusive. Yes, exclusive. There's 3 different variants, and we have one that is individually numbered out of 200. It's in his purple gear, so we recommend grabbing that because once they're gone, they are gone, Jeff.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Do you guys, so I assume the business is big enough that like you own the inventory, right? So it's not necessarily like a consignment. It's when you place the order for Flash Funk or for Mance or whatever, like you are taking ownership of it. You are paying for it with the idea and knowledge that like you need to make sure you flip it or sell it. Otherwise you're holding the bag, right? Basically, like at what point did you kind of like get comfortable enough that you can take an inventory that you can afford it and that it was like a legit business?
So luckily, Jimmy is a analytics guru,
Yeah.
and kind of ties in with his regular shoot job. That even since day one, he just kept a record of everything. He was keeping a record, whether it was what we have in stuff, what we have in inventory, what we sell everything for. So we have, since day one of what we've done and what we've we're able to do based financially.
Yep.
It was getting to a point that because I think Jimmy would have no problem me saying this. We were running this out of our basements for the longest time because, to be honest, like you just don't, get up one day and decide, I'm going to buy warehouse space. But maybe some people do, but not J&J. So it took us, we wanted to see, how far we could take it, and bless our wives for putting up with, every room in the house outside of the bathroom probably had, figures. Everywhere.
Even the bathroom.
Yes, maybe.
It was an exclusive.
It got
right?
to the point where it was just too much, and we, as a couple months ago, we took an opportunity. We've been looking for a while. We actually have our own warehouse space now.
Nice.
Where we're literally, doing this thing for real. So not that we weren't before, but we have a space specifically catered to what we're trying to accomplish here. So that goes in line with what you're saying, Jeff. How do you feel about taking a chance on this or that? The biggest enemy we had up until a couple months ago was space.
Sure.
Like we just like we had the finances to do it. We had the demand for it. It's just like where are we going to put this stuff?
Right.
So that is such a huge win for us because it can only help us grow even further. So it's a big key to our growth. 2025 and forward.
Yeah, I mean, it also gives you significant credibility, right? Like.
Yes.
You guys had a great business, but when you say I'm working out of my basement, it doesn't necessarily give like, hey, like they're fully invested in this business. But when you see you have a warehouse, like all of a sudden, whatever a warehouse looks like or means, like it sounds legitimate,
Yes.
However that comes across, like as a a distributor or as a business owner or whatever else like that, you say, hey, ship it to our warehouse. Like it sounds official,
Exactly, man. And it's so funny that with the warehouse comes us actually being able to work together
Sure.
as well, because we were working out of two separate spots.
Right.
So now instead of one of us getting maybe a round of figures, we get to open them together. We get to see everything together, which if you know anything about us, like if you ever heard us talk about anything anywhere, or if you just check a stream or even just look on the site,
Yep.
look in Joe's social media posts, you could just see that we are just two dudes. We are literally just two guys that will mark out over the figures just like you are. Like we will mark out over the wrestling just like you do. Like we are literally just two normal guys. So like when we get a new like round of figures and we'll look at it together, we'll geek out about it together. And now that it's actually together, instead of Joe, I need this figure, can you drive it to me, or can we meet somewhere? Like
Right.
it is just so much nicer. And honestly, just the sky's the limit now for us as well for what we actually want to do. So as Joe says, we're doing it for real now, even though we were doing it for real before. But it's just a different world now with the warehouse.
Amazing. So we are running low on time, but I did get a few questions in from listeners that I wanted to kind of just run by you guys. So long story short, friend of the show and also friends of you guys, I spoke with Marcus Brandon and Zach Linder today, just kind of saying, hey guys, what do you think? I also did put a post on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast group on Facebook. Didn't go as well as I had hoped, but I will still run you through how that conversation went regardless. So first off, Marcus's first question was, what's the most expensive figure you've ever acquired, and did you ever sell it?
Ooh.
And if you don't want to share numbers, that's cool also. Like whatever you want to share, you're comfortable with, go for it.
Oh, old Jay, is it the Haku Classic still? Or can you think of something higher than that?
For the business, I would say probably, some of the higher end classics like you're describing here. Haku is probably really up there. But I think Marcus would probably have more fun with my answer for the personal collection.
Go for it.
I just recently acquired a really mint red card Undertaker from the Hasbro line,
Nice.
along with a green card of Crush. Also, felt like it was straight out of a box. I was lucky enough that our local shop over here amassed a huge collection of Hasbro. So
is that the same? Is that the same story where I'm not sure if you heard it, where Brian Myers recently
Yes.
got, I think, a Yokozuna autographed Hasbro?
Yeah, so luckily, like Brian, I'm pretty friendly with the owner of the store. So outside of Brian Myers, I was the only other one who really had a shot on buying these figures before they went out. So
nice.
I was able to grab the Crush and the Undertaker.
Awesome.
And I have no shame of saying that I spent close to $1,000 for both of them. But to be honest, I needed them for the collection, and to be it's just what they're worth these days. I don't think I say this all the time when we're on a live stream, is like, at the end of the day, guys, it's plastic, and it's what it's valued to you. Like to somebody on the street, it could just be a piece of junk. But to me, that Undertaker is a $500 figure because it means so much it completed my red cards, like I needed that. I wanted it in that condition. It's just like it's important to the person who's buying it. So like, I always try to say, don't buy it because everyone else wants it. Like if you want it and what you want to pay for it, whatever you're comfortable with, that's what it's worth.
Yeah, it has to make you happy, right? At the end of the day,
Exactly.
you're the one who's paying the money. You're the one who's going to collect it.
Just like the Taylor Swift, records you were saying, like it makes your daughter happy.
Of course.
You could tell me that was $2,000, and I'm like, oh, was she happy and it made your guys' day?
That's the important thing. Right?
Exactly.
Follow up to that, and this is something I recently got into myself. So I started getting so actually it was at WrestleCon in Jersey back in August. The CAS booth was right next to Cardona's booth.
Ooh,
so I had a couple of figures which I just got signed. I had the Danhausen Heels and Faces Midsummer figure, as well as the Cardona Gauge Heels and Faces 2-pack.
Great 2-pack.
And I was like, they're great. I love them. And specifically for the Cardona Gauge, there's no defender or protector that holds it. So I was like, you know what? This would be the perfect thing to get a custom acrylic, CAS slab and graded, whatever. So dropped it off. It was fairly inexpensive. Got it back, and they look amazing. I don't know if I'm addicted yet, but I love the way they look and the feel, whatever else like that. Have you guys tested the waters or tried this with any of your personal collection yet, or it's not really something you're interested in?
This is a tailor-made question for me. That's why Jimmy's laughing.
Go for it.
So even before WrestleCon, I know exactly where we were because we were set up right across from them.
Yes,
but,
you're right there.
Yes, we vended at the Maryland Toy Show back in June, and they
Okay.
were also set up there. And I was like, Jimmy, I really, I have, one of the figures is sentimental between the two of us because one Christmas, I guess a decade ago, probably at this point, Jimmy acquired Series 1 Andre the Giant American Card Hasbro, and one of the mintiest cards that I have. And
Nice.
he got it for some unreal price. Jimmy, do you remember how much you paid for it? But it had to be something ridiculous.
So we're talking, Joe, maybe almost 2 decades ago, by the way, because
that's like I keep thinking 20 years ago is 1990. So
Yeah, right?
That's my range.
exactly. It's the concept of time. It's just all over the place. But
Yes.
I've ended up finding this minty Andre for like $50 on eBay, and I remember
wow.
like jumping up and down, and I was like, Joe's gonna be so happy. This is awesome. I still remember your face opening that, where you're like, dude, this is really nice. And like, it's so funny that like they were going to be there grading, because you're like, I think I'm going to get that Andre graded. And I'm like, you know what? That would be just so funny to see like how nice this thing actually is, because it ended up just becoming a running joke between us.
Right.
And it ended up working out well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I literally just got the grade back on the Andre, and I think it's 84 point something. So I'm very happy with it.
And especially for what, a 35, 40-year-old figure. I mean, that's
I actually thought it would be higher,
insanity.
but I'm thrilled with that. So I'm so excited to get that back. And then we met a local collector who's become honestly one of my best friends in the hobby, who was unloading a bunch of mint on card LJNs.
nice.
And this is something that, probably will never make it to anything outside of my PC. He had an amazing super mint one-man gang LJN. And to be honest, it's hard to find that figure loose, let alone mints on card and in the condition.
Yep.
And also mid-80s grade I just got back. So I'm thrilled about that. I cannot wait to get these back in my possession. So yes, Jeff, to answer your question,
Awesome.
I think I'm going to dive further into this. I'm very excited.
Nice. You're going to see how many more of these shows you can get yourself like set up next to them. So it's super convenient. Maybe you can work out a little barter or a deal of some kind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what I did. So I got them all autographed first was JSA was also at the show. So I got them signed, went over to the JSA booth, paid the $7 or $8 or $10, whatever, get the sticker on it, got it dropped off the packages. Maybe 6 weeks later, they're shipped back to me and they look great. So super excited with the results. Question from Zach Linder, and obviously feel free not to answer these. Quote, when are you going to hire him as your marketing guy? I think he's looking for a job. I may or may not be. I don't know. But, if you want to send him a DM or text him and maybe send him an application, that could possibly work. I don't know.
I need his whole work history first. So sorry, Zach, you need to contact us about
Cover
that.
letter too. We expect a cover letter.
So he's on LinkedIn. I can. I'm connected to him on LinkedIn. I can send you that if you want. Outside of that, I can't represent Zach. I'm sure Zach wouldn't want anybody else representing himself anyway, if you know anything about him. So
Yes.
In all seriousness, Zach is definitely one of the best people we've met while doing this, and he only wants the best for us, and he he's sold us some stuff. He's purchased some stuff from us. He's given us, as what did he say this morning? Unsolicited advice anytime that he wants. Trust me, he's honestly one of many collectors that have been instrumental with helping us grow. So as much as I love to tease Zach every chance I get, I do appreciate him. So I'm sure he's listening. So hey, Zach, I still won't give you that Berserker exclusive.
I like Zach a lot, and I'll say this: he and I traveled to Boston together for the major live show back in August.
Oh, nice.
I'm not sure we've ever had more of a yin and a yang, or whatever the opposites are, of travel companions. Here's the difference. So we had a 10 o'clock flight out of Newark. I think I got there at like 7:45. I'm sitting in the United Club just waiting for him. He left his house at like 8:40. Right?
Oh my God.
So he gets to the airport without a driver's license. Somehow he talks his way through security. For me, my anxiety just shoots up the roof the whole time. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, how can you enjoy the next 24 hours in Boston not knowing if you're going to fly home? And he's like, whatever, it'll be fine. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, we are not wired the same way. Like, we are very different people. Like, I was talking to Marcus about it. Like, I could not enjoy myself knowing that I didn't know how I was going to get home or like what this all looked like. But that's another podcast for another day, I'm sure. Zach's awesome, but obviously he and I are very different from an anxiety level, let's say, in terms of what our triggers are. Lastly, so as mentioned, I did post in the Major Wrestling Figure Facebook group. I said, hey, I'm recording with the J&J guys tonight. Does anybody have any questions? First question, did you really sing With My Baby Tonight? I'd say no. That was Double J. That's JEFFJARRETT. That's Jeff Jarrett. That was not the J&J Figure guys, but thank you. He then followed up with, "Oh, sorry. What was it like being security for Seth Rollins?" Again, J&J Security, different J&J group. I was surprised there wasn't any Johnson & Johnson reference here either. Still, eventually, another friend of the show, Travis Hotard, had to say they sell wrestling figures. This is not the J&J you're looking for. So that's kind of how the post ended. We'll see if anybody else adds to it after this recording, but I'm going to probably lock the post because I don't think it was even remotely as productive as I was hoping it would be. So
That made me laugh. It was productive enough.
And also, shout out to Travis, man. Travis is such a good guy for the community. He's constantly in that Major Pod group and obviously within his Instagrams and obviously just helping out the community. So shout out to Travis as well.
Yeah. So I met Travis for the first time in Boston at the Major show. He seemed like a really nice guy. I'm not sure if you guys saw the photos of the videos, but I think he had a Raven exclusive figure bendy at one point. And then they had an ECW cosplay contest, and he went dressed as the Raven bendy figure.
It's fantastic.
It looked great. Like he looked really, really good. And the funny thing was Raven was actually at the show as well. So it was just a really just cool kind of like overall kind of setup. He also, when he came out, he had like a backdrop that looked like the bendy backdrop. Like Travis definitely planned that super well. It was great. Like definitely top notch.
That's awesome.
Travis is another one of those guys, like I said, instrumental, just helping us, and even just sharing our posts, liking our posts. It really goes so far in this day and age just to get our names out there. And Travis has been nothing but supportive. He's another great whatnot seller, and that's how we met. Can't say enough nice things about Travis.
Awesome. Well, with that said, we are running out of time. Do you guys want to spend some time plugs talking about where they can find you? Talk about your whatnot. Anything else you want to, so people can get a hold of you or buy from you if they want?
Yeah, absolutely. So anything social media, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, that is Joe's space. No, I'm joking. You can find us literally any social media platform that you're on. So your Instagrams, your Facebooks, we are X-Men here, but you can call it Twitter, whatever you want to say. We are J&J Figures on, I think, all of those now. Same thing with whatnot. Our bread and butter, though, the party never stops at jjfigures.com. You want to go there. That is open 24/7, folks. And the deals, what seems to be daily, Joe, that we are getting some new things posted on there, which is awesome. Now with the warehouse, we get to actually see the full inventory of what we have. So we're posting stuff sporadically here and there. And then obviously with all the stuff coming in, as much as we love whatnot, we are streaming on there about 4 to 5 times a month. You can catch us Fridays or every other Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern to pick up your Friday afternoon to really kick off your weekend as well. That's with $5 Fridays. Everything starts at $5. My favorite stream is me and Joe together for a flagship stream. That is one Sunday a month where, even though every stream has become us together, which is great, that's where we really just shoot and just have a good time, just talk wrestling, talk figs, relax. Take a look at some of these beautiful figures that we're running. That is usually one Sunday a month. The return of B's Bargain Bin. So my wife, Brittany, has taken on a letter of her own as B. She comes in, she gives you free stuff as you buy over a certain amount, which is amazing. It started off as a joke because she wanted all the stuff out of our house. Now it's going to be much harder for her to clear that warehouse, but we can try. And that is one Tuesday a month. So that has come back as well. But where we really, really, I think, where we excel the most, I think, and what we love the most is getting to meet people in person. Like you mentioned, WrestleCon in Newark, we were there. We have 2 absolutely, Old J, Joe, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Our 2 biggest events of the year still to come, with the big event in Brentwood, New York. That is November 15th at the Suffolk Credit Union Arena. We have worked the past 4 big events. This is going to be our biggest big event of all time,
Nice.
our biggest setup of all time. We don't even know what it looks like yet. That's how massive it's going to be. And we're going to just have over 1,000 figures for selection like we did last time. With more space, it's only going to be more figures.
Amazing.
And I think, not to undersell the big event because it's going to be amazing, but what we're really excited about, we are venturing down south a little bit. We are going down to WrestleCade in Winston-Salem, North Carolina on Black Friday weekend. So we are super pumped to work all 3 of those days of WrestleCade. meet some new folks that we know are down there in person, show some people on the Eastern Coast what's going on in the North, and really just get the name out there. And then we're talking about some plans for 2026. It's going to be wild, but really all about jandjfigures.com. Come see us in person. If you say, hey, I saw you on that Whatnot stream, or I follow, you're going to pop us no matter what.
Nice.
You most likely get a hug from me as well. So I'm sorry about that. I'm a very affectionate person. So if you say, hey, man, I follow you and I'm this person, I'm probably going to hug you. So thank you very much for supporting us. But old Joe, did I miss anything?
No, but I'll add a little bit more just to spice it up a little bit. Going back to the big event, as much as I would want to say just come to see us, there's a lot of great talent that is going to be there as well. Bret Hart, Sting, Great Muta are the three that come to mind. So those are literally going to be in the same spot. Goldberg and Bret Hart will be under the same roof. Who knows what's going to happen? So
AJ Lee's going to be there as well.
AJ Lee's going to be
Yes.
there. Yeah, I mean,
big one.
The lineup is absolutely insane. Only to be matched by WrestleCade, which is actually November 28th to the 30th. Black Friday weekend. I had to look real quick, Jimmy, what the actual dates is for that. So in case anyone was wondering, it's the 28th to the 30th. It's 3 days, and they also have Sting. MJF will be there, the Hardy Boys. So really looking forward to seeing, the collectors down in that general region for the first time. To go back to jjfigures.com, please use the discount code OLDJ. You can get 10% off everything on the website right now. That includes pre-orders.
Yep.
That includes exclusives that we have, which I think is closing in at about 10 exclusive figures right now.
Nice.
Across, I think, like 5 different companies. So use OLDJ, OLDJ, to save 10%. And then also, if you live in the U.S. and spend over $75, we're going to ship it to you for free.
Nice.
If you live in Canada, spend $99, we're going to ship it to you for free. I'm not going to count whatever tariffs or whatever stuff that may come at the border. We can't control that. That's a government thing. But the actual shipping we will cover. And then we don't want to leave out anybody who lives outside of North America. We ship worldwide. So if you're thinking about, I really want that figure, but I live in the UK, we will ship it to you. So definitely check us out, jjfigures.com. And I just want to call out one more time our friends at KWK. Sean NG puts out a great product. We just launched today the Flash Funk exclusive. I know we mentioned it earlier in the pod, but it comes in 3 color waves, and our exclusive is out of 200 units. We've already sold 30% of it. So If you guys want it, I recommend hitting us up there, and you can use that discount code OJ. So that's I think Jimmy covered most of it, but I think I put the cherry on top.
Nice. So we didn't quite get to the Josh Chernoff level of how many variations of a figure. We're only at 3.
Not yet.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was like 8 or 9 that came out about a year and a half ago. And it was, I mean, I bought one of them because I saw him at a show, but 8 felt a little excessive for Josh. But I mean, if it makes him happy and he sells them, then all the power to him, I guess, right?
Absolutely. We encourage as many variants as possible.
Very cool. Well, guys, thank you again so much for joining the show. Really appreciate it. For those of you at home, again, obviously try to support Joe and Jimmy if you can. Just check out their website, their socials, follow them on Whatnot. Follow them everywhere. Just don't follow them to work or whatever. That's kind of weird. If you do want to follow me, though, you can follow me on Instagram at Everybody's a Story Pod. My personal Instagram is at Seltzer77. Been putting out some fun TikToks recently at Everybody's a Story Pod. YouTube is at Everybody's a Story Pod. You can find all things Jeff Seltzer at jeffseltzer.com. Email the show at Everybody's a Story Pod at gmail.com. Reminder, we're on all podcast platforms, so definitely check us out. Tell everyone about it. Video on YouTube and Spotify, audio, those 2 places and everywhere else. With that said, next week, I think my guests might have fallen through, so it might be a solo pod talking about my experience at Halloween Horror Nights and me vomiting in a Chili's bathroom. So we can hear all about that. It'll be lots of fun, I'm sure. With that said, have a great week. Shoot me some DMs if you want to be a guest in the show. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, all that kind of stuff. And we'll be back next week. Take care, guys. Thanks.
That's great. Thanks, Jeff.
Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer.